Man, too bad this is the only video store around. Looks like they don't have much left to offer.
Yeah, I can't wait till the pandemic's over so we can actually watch actual movies. But I guess this will have to do.
Yeah, I mean, what all they got? They got Evil Dead,
Pumpkinhead,
Return of the Living Dead,
Freddy vs. Jason. Oh, wait, what's this? Huh. Cinematic horror, real threat, or mindless entertainment? How can horror movies affect the viewer, biologically or psychologically?
Let's get this one and find out.
Yeah. What do horror movies do to the viewer biologically? Starting as early as late 1800s, horror movies caught the eye of many viewers, starting with George Maley's 1896 short film The House of the Devil. This one movie became the beginner of the horror movie franchise. This movie led to multiple movies including The Shining, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Exorcist. According to Christine Coplain, watching certain horror movies with full attention can burn as much calories as walking for 30 minutes. Such movies include The Shining, which burns 184 calories, A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is 118 calories, and The Exorcist, which burns 158 calories. Christine Coplain also states that burning of calories is caused by the increase of the ballast metabolic rate after adrenaline is released in a short burst of stress or fear. Fear triggers a signal to be sent to the brain. The signal travels to the amygdala, a region near the base of the brain. The amygdala fires a brain chemical called glutamate out into two regions of the brain. The first region makes us freeze or involuntarily jump, according to Park. This is what most people feel when a jump scare occurs. The second signal is sent to the hypothalamus and triggers the autonomic nervous system. This system is responsible for the fight or flight instinct. After your brain registers the fear, according to Michelle Park, the brain realizes that threat is no longer real, and the parasympathetic nervous system calms us down. When an individual goes through an acute scare or jump scare, the brain lights up at different locations compared to when in a calm state. In this first photo by Matthew Hudson, the brain is at rest while watching a movie. The second photo is also by Matthew Hudson, showing the brain during certain parts of a horror movie. Once the viewer sees a jump scare or an acute fear, the brain fires off neurons to react to the stress. This causes the adrenaline to be released, causing the fight or flight evolutionary mechanic to kick in. Different types of fear in different movies can cause different parts of the brain to react. Shown off in this photo by Matthew Hudson, in the movie Conjuring 2, the pre-CG or the pre-central gyrus is more active while watching the movie Insidious, compared to the movie Conjuring 2. In this area of the brain, fear-related function connectivity is increased with several regions of the frontal lobe. Different parts of the brain light up when linked with different types of threat or stimuli. These types of stimuli can be categorized into anticipatory and reactionary stimuli. This means that when a scare happens, the brain will react, or when you are waiting for a scare, you will react differently. Biological effects are only half the effects that can happen to you when you watch a horror movie. The other type of effects are psychological. Horror movies, can they play a big role in your psychological mental health? One phenomenon that occurs when certain people watch horror movies is called cinematic neurosis. The definition being the development of anxiety, symptomatic responses, dissociation, or even psychotic symptoms after watching a particular film. Cinematic neurosis is a culturally shaped symptom. A film shapes the symptoms presentations of pre-existing mental health conditions in vulnerable people, such as when a viewer watched The Exorcist. Her symptoms included insomnia, excitability, hyperactivity, irritability, and decreased appetite after viewing. Other symptoms occurred were anxiety, fear of being alone at night, and demonic dreams, one including the devil with his penis in her mouth. Her medical history also revealed underlying characterological disturbances consisting of borderline personality disorder, or BPD. These cases show people with already weakened mental health can be affected by movies causing historical mental breaks and acting like the movies they viewed. These individuals with borderline personality disorders can also form a type of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Bruce Ballin mentions that individuals with BPD have been shaped by childhood traumas that have left them with extremely vulnerable mental states, which also can cause developmental PTSD in response to stressors, which for others might be sub-threshold. These are some of the negative effects that can occur while watching horror movies with the mentally fragile. But horror movies can also affect normal people as well. While watching a horror movie, everyone's brain and psyche reacts differently to it because of age, gender, and mental stability. As Neil Martin puts it, the sex difference in this study highlights an important contrast on the model, and that is individuals differ, such as sex may have interact with sensation-seeking type of individuals to predict viewing preference or even enjoyment of horror films. These sensation seekers are thrill and adventure seekers, experience seekers, disinhibitions, and boredom susceptibility. This data by Martin agrees with the primary audience of horror movies being younger males. Women also enjoy horror movies, but they watch horror movies for a different reason than men. Neil Martin explains that men attend because they sought sensation and to experience the destructive nature of what horror movies are, while women attend because they want a just ending. The difference in sex is not only limited to the sensation. There are differences in fears and how they affect them as well. The researchers say that a more general sex difference is that women in general report greater fear and anxiety than men do. The primary research done also agrees with this, given the fact that most females asked do not enjoy horror movies. The secondary research that was found does help clarify a lot of information regarding the subject of horror movies and how they affect the viewers. My research does agree with the information found and reinforces the idea of how viewers feel psychologically and biologically. The questions were done through online sources such as Facebook, Discord, and Blackboard via the NIU, Northern Illinois University, English 203, Blackboard. The NIU Blackboard was used to get a wide range of backgrounds and lifestyles. The second method used was to gain data from family and friends with the use of social medias. The second method was done to get a wider range of ages, genders, and nationalities. The questions asked were how old the person was, do they like horror movies, how do they feel when they watch horror movies. Then the person was asked, do they watch horror movies alone or with a group? And then the last question was, what type of genre of horror movies do they watch? The primary research done was sent out to 50 plus people. Only 20 people responded to the poll, and the results varied from the stereotypes in secondary research. The first question was asked the age of the interviewed person. The majority of the individuals asked in the study was between the ages of 20 to 29, with individuals ranging from 10 to 59 years old. When asked if people like horror movies, 65% of people said yes, and 35% said no. When asked how do horror movies make them feel, 50% of people said scared, 25% said happy, 15% said excited, and 10% said other. Other being, one person said they feel bored when watching horror movies, and the other one said they felt nothing while watching horror movies. When people were asked if they watch horror movies alone or together, 55% of people said they watch it in groups, and 45% said they watch it alone. The last question was what favorite genre of horror movies were there. 40% of people said they did not like horror movies, so then they did not have a favorite genre. 40% said they enjoyed psychological horror movies, and 20% said slasher horror movies. In my findings, the primary research does match up with the secondary research, showing that most females do not enjoy horror movies, and primarily males between the ages of 20 to 29 do enjoy horror movies. The primary males between the ages of 20 to 29 also agree with the secondary research, showing that most of them do enjoy horror movies compared to other different groups. My research done does show that most males in general do enjoy horror movies compared to just a younger crowd, while showing that most females still do not enjoy horror movies does agree with the secondary research. When watching horror movies, many tend to watch with friends or family to bring everyone closer. The findings of the primary research agree with the findings of the secondary research, strengthening the ideas shown done by all these other people. Most of my findings agree that men are the primary viewers of horror movies, women being more scared but still do watch horror movies. Okay, more research needs to be done to show any effects done on viewers to see what people do. More researches need to be done to show any effects tied between watching horror movies during the quarantine and effects of people with little to no social interaction. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed.